Oh, Cayman moon,
the voice of the Cayman Islands, Radio Cayman.
shining down from above.
We love our listeners.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Fidelity Bank. For all your banking and pension needs, call or visit a Fidelity branch today. Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealerships serving the Cayman Islands. And Cayman Pharmacy Group, with locations in West Base and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. And Seaboard Marine. With over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling Seaboard Marine at 949-4977.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome to For the Record. It has been a few days since you've heard from me and since I've heard from you, so I have anxiously awaited the opportunity to be back on the show. So here we are today, Wednesday, the 14th day of November 2016. I want to thank you, our listening and viewing audience, for allowing Radio Cayman and by extension For the Record into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I have the honor of being your host, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 9:30 a.m. Our phone lines are always open. There is always someone there waiting to take your calls, 9 times out of 10. That beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan Watson. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flo. That toll-free number is 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. Of course, if you don't like to talk on the telephone, you can email us at For the Record. That is one word, For the Record, at candw.ky. You can WhatsApp us on 925-3261. Leave us a text message or send us a voice note, the contents of which will be played during the course of the show. And, of course, you can follow us on YouTube simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. That is Radio Cayman live stream. So today's Wednesday, and this is the day we have no guests, and it is basically designed that way. Sometimes we will have guests, but sometimes we want to leave the phone lines open for you to participate and for me to give you a little bit more time to talk than I usually do, especially when we have guests on the show as well. So the phone lines are open. I also want to do a little bit of housekeeping to advise you that after the 8 o'clock news, we will be talking live with Dr. Steve Markfield on the phone. We were going to talk about the Caribbean Court of Justice, the recent referenda that were held in Grenada and Antigua and Barbuda in relation to that, the apprehension of other Caribbean countries, independent Caribbean countries, to use the CCJ as the court of last resort. And for those of you who have an interest in it, I would encourage you to, if you have a computer, Google CCJ discussions by Bruce Golden. There are 2 articles, one on Sunday and that was written by Mr. Golden, and there was one on yesterday as well, referring to the former Prime Minister of Jamaica, Mr. Bruce Golden's article, and there's an editorial on there today as well. Very insightful in terms of the discussion on the CCJ. So we will be talking with Dr. Steve Markfield about that. Those of you, like I said, who are interested, you may want to go. In the meantime, search for those articles. They're in the Jamaica Observer, Sunday's Observer, and yesterday's Observer as well in that regard. Closer to home, we want to talk about the pickup of bulk for the Christmas season, and we see quite a bit of it on our roadways. And one of our listeners, and this is from last week, I saved this because I wanted to bring it to your attention because I thought that it was extremely important, and certainly this listener thought the same as well. And the writer says, having driven around during the last couple of days and seeing the work being done by the DEH, I was thinking it would be a good idea for DEH to put a few signs up at the entrance to each district. Reason is that with so many tourists around, it would help to explain the reasons for seeing all the garbage piled up along the roadside. Will not want them to think that this is how we live. Just a thought. And the person said if I could try to use my clout and suggest it to the acting director. So I'm going to do that publicly. I believe whatever little clout that I have, it's probably being behind this microphone, and I will use this microphone to certainly promote good practices, promote the Cayman Islands, promote what is good for the Cayman Islands and the people of the Cayman Islands as well. And while I say that, there are companies we see on the roadways, for instance, when road work is being done. Those electronic signs that are there warning persons of the work that is being done, asking them to drive carefully, or when there are diversions, advising them of the diversions as well. DEH could possibly employ the use of those for that purpose rather than having to put up bigger signs. But certainly, and I believe I did hear one taxi driver speak about this as well when she was driving in the districts and the tourists saw the garbage pile up and were asking, and she explained to them what was happening. While saying this, I also need to point out to those persons who are putting the bulk waste on the side of the road, please do it in an orderly fashion, in a neat fashion. That would certainly help as well. I've seen instances where the things are just simply dumped at random on the side of the road. So you can do your part also by ensuring that it is neatly placed on the road. And also, you want to be aware of the days that have been scheduled for the pickup in your particular area. What would be helpful also, if the DEH are behind in the pickup schedule, then they should let people know that as well, so that they don't put their bulk waste out there too early. You want to bear in mind that this is a service that the DEH is providing to you. Now, we can argue and say, whatever they're providing, we are paying for it because we pay for it one way or the other. And while that may be correct, there are many jurisdictions where the public pays for services, and they don't necessarily get the kind of service that we get here in the Cayman Islands. Sometimes our government treats us with kid gloves and really goes out of its way to assist us. When that happens, we also need to do our part. And I'm saying so this morning, that you need to do your part when you're putting your bulk waste out there for it to be picked up. Put it out there in a neat, orderly fashion, because 9 times out of 10, you're putting it on your property or outside of your property. So you want your property also to look presentable as well. So the message is, DEH, if you can put up some signs saying the reason for the bulk garbage out there is because of the pickup, it is only a temporary situation, and you have your commitment, as well as the people of the Cayman Islands, to keep Cayman clean as well. You may also wish to put it out on the airways, employ the use of the television stations, radio stations as well. And as I suggested earlier, those temporary electronic signs would be helpful also. We have one caller, and I want to thank that listener who made that suggestion, and the other caller who called into one of our other shows here on Radio Cayman to speak about it as well. I want to thank them for their concerns and their keen observations in this regard. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Lucy.
Good morning, ma'am. How are you?
I am great. This is Debbie Ebine. I'm calling in for two things today. Today is November the 14th. It's World Diabetes Day.
Yes, it is.
As you may not be aware or may be aware, it is the main focus for Lions International and by virtue of the Lions Club in the Cayman Islands. And today we are partnering with the HSA and the Cayman Islands Diabetes Association, CEDA.
Mm-hmm.
There will be some pre-screening going on at the hospital, in the hospital atrium at the HSA hospital from 8:30 this morning until 2 today. So I want the public to know that, and that they can come out and get some free AC1 testing, which will determine your levels and whether you are at risk for diabetes, and then you can actually take it from there. And my second thing that I want to advise the public about is the Lions Club of Grand Cayman PACE, which is prostate and colon cancer event. We've had a walk in September, and but we partner in November. We partner with the Movember committee.
Mm-hmm.
We have a big educational meeting on tomorrow night, Thursday night, that is 7, at 7 p.m. at the Lions Center, which is the 15th of November, tomorrow, Thursday. So we want to invite the people out, especially for men. It's men health that we are targeting.
Mm-hmm.
And there will be free PSA testing done from 7 o'clock, and the event is from 7 till 9. And it's free. Everything is free. Come out. We have 2 doctors one will be presenting on prostate cancer and one will be presenting on colon cancer.
Miss Debbie, while I still have you on the phone, I know that we do have some local spokespersons who are sort of the face of some of these illnesses and who have battled them successfully and are spokespersons, for that as well. Will you be utilizing them in this instance?
We're hoping that we may have 1 or 2, but the Cancer Society, which is one of our partners in this event as well, are arranging the speakers. So I am not 100% sure who they have gotten. I know they will be Dr. Lusty and Dr. Solomon from the Privy Tomlinson Doctors Hospital are the 2 doctors that will be presenting, and they will make themselves available following their presentation and following the meeting. We're doing the meet and greet sessions to talk to people on one-on-one if they desire. And there's going to be a question and answer session. But if people do not feel like asking a question in open mic time, then they can actually meet with the doctors afterwards.
Okay. And this is not the first time that you're having such an event, is it?
No, this is probably, I think this is probably our 4th or 5th year. And when we first started out, we had like maybe 50. Last year we had over 200. So we want to kind of double our numbers so that we think, because, I know it's mostly a slogan for breast cancer that, early detection save lives, but that is the case in all cancers.
Yes.
So,
yes.
And like I said, we are highlighting prostate and colon, and also they will be touching on testicular, but the testing will be done for prostate.
Excellent, excellent. Ms. Debbie, I want to thank you very much for that. Wish you all the success, and we want to continue to say to those who feel that they're healthy but have not had a checkup in recent times that they need to go and do so as well.
One of the questions also that we get sometimes come up in is this: what are the symptoms? And normally there is no symptoms for cancers, for any of the cancers. And when symptoms actually manifest themselves, then you're at a really high, you're more likely at the stage 4 level.
Yes.
So screening is imperative. It's the most important thing. So that is why we are focusing on education and awareness, and to bring awareness to this, and encouraging people to do screening rather than wait to have a symptom or looking for a symptom.
Thank you very much, Ms. Debbie, for that. All the best. We're going to take a commercial break. After that break, For the Record, will continue. Please stay tuned.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the historical Vignettes series, sponsored by Cayman National Bank. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs. The Cayman Islands, he hath founded it upon the seas.
When the storm of 32 struck Cayman Brac, records show it did so with 200-mile-per-hour winds, with waves washing atop of the 140-foot bluff. Although shielded from the major winds at first, once the eye of the storm had passed and the winds turned, the island was hit from the north, where nearly all of the houses were situated. When the storm passed, all of the houses were destroyed, all provisions lost, and 108 losses of life accounted for in Cayman Brac alone. Not to mention the trauma that the survivors had to endure, including post-traumatic stress, gastrointestinal cases, polluted water, and insufficient food. But out of chaos grew a sense of harmony as people forgot their differences and worked together to overcome the disaster. Although having been hit hard, Grand Cayman sent materials and manpower without pay, and the sister islanders selflessly cooperated to rebuild their islands.
Radio Cayman's Historical Facts Vignettes are proudly brought to you by Cayman National, with branches on all 3 Cayman Islands. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs.
I need a bank that is convenient for me.
What do you mean?
I need a bank that has easy-to-find locations and plenty ATMs when I need cash on the go.
Oh, well, that's easy. You need to bank with Cayman National. They have 7 customer service centers and 23 ATM locations. The newest one is at the East End Post Office, and I hear there's more to come.
Well, sounds like I need to bank with Cayman National Bank, the convenient bank, because they seem to be everywhere.
Yeah, that's true. Cayman National is everywhere. Surely they are Cayman's convenient bank.
Cayman National Bank. We're here for you.
The Cayman Pharmacy Group would like to thank the Cayman communities for their continuous support for over the past decade. CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy opened its doors in March 2000. West Bay Pharmacy first opened their doors in March 2004. The Cayman Pharmacy Group was established in July 2007. Throughout the years, our CPG family has provided more than just pharmaceuticals to our loyal friends and customers. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has protected the lives of our medical community by securing the best healthcare advice and pharmaceutical services. To us at CPG, you are more than just a number. So, we are taking the time to say thank you for choosing CPG. The Cayman Pharmacy Group, taking care of your health.
You remember the sale at Vamped Motors?
Yeah, the Your Sale, Your Choice. The one where you can get cash back or can put the savings to extend the warranty or upgrade features.
Yes, it's still going on. But now you can get $8,000 off a new Ford Ranger truck. $8,000, you know?
You for real?
Come see for yourself. While they still have so much to choose from, save big during Your Sale, Your Choice at Vamped Motors. With almost every vehicle on sale, you decide whether to get your dream ride at its lowest price. Take cash back, add years to the warranty or service plan. Choose an add-on or mix your options. Your sale, your choice, because you know what you need, and Vamped Motors will help you drive it home. Vamped Motors on Walkers Road.
A trip to New York City is the experience of a lifetime. Starting this December, Cayman Airways will be offering daily non-stop flights from Grand Cayman to New York City. That's right, Cayman Airways is going daily to New York City starting this December. Stroll through Central Park or take in the bright lights of Times Square, enjoy a Broadway show, or visit museums, the Empire State Building, and so much more. Whether you're visiting for business or pleasure, you'll fall in love with New York City. And daily non-stop flights from Grand Cayman aboard Cayman Airways starting this December. For details and to book, call Cayman Airways reservations at 949-2311. Contact a travel agent or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Sometimes things just don't go as planned. That's why you need Contractors All Risk Insurance from Fidelity Insurance Brokers. Ensure you're covered in the event of property damage and third-party injury or damage claims during your construction projects. And with Fidelity Insurance Brokers, you can be sure you are getting competitive pricing and superior customer service. Call us today for a free quote. Fidelity, we're good for you.
No time is better spent than that spent in the service of your fellow man. Brian McGill.
Calling all 6CA members. The Cayman Islands Civil Service Association annual general meeting is Thursday, November the 15th at the Georgetown Town Hall. So 6CA members, please mark your calendars. Members, please make every effort to attend this very important upcoming annual general meeting. Be there for the Mix and Mingle social from 5 to 5:30 p.m., followed by the general meeting from 5:30 till 7 p.m.
They want you. They want you. They want you as a new recruit. They want you. They want you. They want you as a new recruit.
Vote for your 2018-2019 Management Council. Get your copy of the 2016 to 2017 vetted financial accounts. Members may submit issues for discussion on the agenda to 6CA, CICSA@gov.ky, or topics can be raised at the meeting. The agenda with documents for consideration will be emailed to members before the meeting.
That's 6CA's AGM coming November 15th, Georgetown Town Hall.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record, with your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. No guests in the studio this morning, so we have open mic. I want to read what one of our listeners sent a few days ago in relation to Remembrance Day. And they say Remembrance Day program was beautifully organized. Much thanks to Melanie Sims and her team at the protocol office. Beautiful addressed audience. I saw two people, males, not properly dressed. Which one looked like a reporter? Very respectful audience, lots of youth. To continue this tradition of remembrance, or service, a remembrance service for uniformed groups were spectacularly dressed. Uniformed groups were spectacularly dressed. Lots of social Cayman-kind interaction amongst the audience. Lots of participation from individuals and churches in laying of the wreaths from all the districts. A big thank you for the churches who participated by ringing bells. Say, this is Cayman. Let's keep our Cayman going as well. So I want to thank the listener for that. And I want to insert a little bit also. This might be a little bit controversial, but it is factual as well. And we talk about the contribution of Caribbean people, West Indians, during the wars. And there's an article by a lady by the name of Lisa Peatfield, and that was written on Friday, the 8th of June of this year. And it's entitled The Story of the British West Indies Regiment in the First World War. And she points out in that article that in 1915, Britain, the UK or Britain's War Office, which had initially opposed recruitment of West Indian troops, agreed to accept volunteers from the West Indies. A new regiment was formed, the British West Indies Regiment, BWIR, which served in Europe and the Middle East and Africa. Says some of the items below on display. It talks about that, shows the items, below on display and stuff like that. But I'm going to skip back that. Points out that the British West Indies troops were engaged in numerous support roles in the Western Front, including digging trenches, building roads, and gun emplacements, acting as stretcher bearers, loading ships and trains, and working in ammunition dumps. This work was often carried out within range of German artillery and snipers. In July 1917, 13 men from the British West Indies Regiment were killed by shell fire and aerial bombardment. She goes on to talk about that in 1917, Field Marshal Douglas Haig said that the British West Indies Regiment work had been very arduous and had been carried out almost continuously under shell fire in spite of casualties. The men have always shown themselves willing and cheerful workers, and the assistance they have rendered has been much appreciated by the units to which they have been attached and for whom they have been working. The physique of the men is exceptional, their discipline excellent, and their morale high. Well, that exceptional physique was also what attracted the Brits and all of the other European countries to enslave us as well, because that helped to during the slave trade, and helped to enrich all of the countries of Europe to the point of where they are today. The article goes on to say the formation of the British West Indies Regiment did not give soldiers from the West Indies the opportunity to fight as equals alongside white soldiers. So while they were used to dig the trench, to man the ammunition depots and stuff, they were not allowed to fight side by side with white soldiers. Why? Because they were not seen as equals. I believe that there's another reason, but I will speak to that very quickly as well. It says, instead, the War Office largely limited their participation to labor duties. The use of the British West Indies Regiment soldiers in supporting roles intensified during the Battle of the Somme, as casualties amongst fighting troops meant that reinforcements were needed in the front. Now, my take on the fact that the reason that the British West Indies Regiment soldiers were not allowed to fight alongside the white soldiers, or were not allowed to fight at all, and they weren't trained in fighting but trained to do manual work, simply because they were still, the British West Indies, the countries there, were still under colonial rule. And do you want to train people to fight, the same people who will turn around and fight you later, or had to fight you later, to gain their independence, right? Don't take anything away from the Brits. They were smart. They didn't want what the old people used to say. You want to to create a whip for your own backside. That is what they didn't want to do. They didn't want to train soldiers from the colonies because they knew later on that they would have to fight those same soldiers from the colonies when they were fighting for their independence. With that, we've reached top of the hour. Let's go to the 8 o'clock news. When we return from the 8 o'clock news, we will have Dr. Steve Markfield on the phone, and we will be talking about the Caribbean Court of Justice. Some of you in the Cayman Islands are not aware of it simply because we haven't reached that far in terms of our evolution and devolving, our evolution as well as our devolution. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Studio time now by Price Right is 8 a.m.
Price Right is Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore, making your dollar go further with huge savings and no membership fees. Get more of the things you use every day at the right price. But it's not just grocery and health and beauty. Price Right has a full range of products from office to automotive, patio furnishings to kitchen appliances, and even electronics. And since warehouse prices mean savings for you, everything is priced right at Price Right, Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore.
Access information.
Your community, news and information. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
With your latest news, I'm Karsley Fuller. The government announces that the final National Community Enhancement Project for 2018 will run for 3 weeks starting on November 26th. Radio Cayman's April Cummings has more.
Led by the Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure, the Christmas cleanup will be delivered through the Public Works Department, the National Roads Authority, and the Department of Environmental Health. The program provides short-term work for unemployed Caymanians and spouses of Caymanians 18 years of age and over. Those accepted into the initiative are required to work daily from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Friday, and the workers will be assigned between 1 and 3 weeks' work. They'll be paid on December 5th, 12th, and 19th accordingly. Contracted workers will be paid $10 per hour and foremen $12 per hour. As with previous NICE projects, the November-December seasonal initiative involves things like repairs and maintenance, gardening, clearing parks, benches, and beach access points, as well as roadside verges. A similar project will be undertaken in the sister islands under the supervision of district administration. Registration and training for the 15-day project will be held at the Lion Center on Monday, November 19th, beginning at 9 a.m. In addition to sign-up and an orientation by the administering agencies, registration will also include basic safety, work skills, and conduct training before finishing up at 12 noon. April Cummings, Radio Cayman News.
Application forms are available at the district libraries in Grand Cayman and Cayman Brac, as well as from district MLA offices and at the Government Administration Building's reception area. Police get 4 reports of vehicle break-ins in central Georgetown over the past weekend, 3 in the early hours of Sunday morning, and the 4th reported early Monday. Police say the break-ins occurred on North Church Street, Dr. Royce Drive, and on Main Street, with 2 purses, a wallet, tools, and a quantity of cash reported missing. In 2 of the incidents, the passenger side window of the cars had been smashed. A 21-year-old is facing a series of charges after an incident on the Esterly-Tibbetts Highway involving dangerous driving Saturday afternoon. Police were called out to investigate a report of 2 men riding erratically and doing stunts on motorbikes after several members of the public called 911. The riders were headed towards West Bay on the Esterly-Tibbetts Highway when police helicopters spotted them and began following them, signaling them to stop. They didn't and separated as they entered West Bay. One of the riders on a red and black motorcycle was followed by the Air Operations Unit. The rider eventually abandoned the motorcycle in the Bosun Bay area of West Bay and ran into a nearby store where officers arrested him. They later found that the motorcycle he was on was stolen. The 21-year-old has been charged with 8 offenses, from dangerous driving to handling stolen goods. And today is World Diabetes Day, and as part of proactive efforts to raise awareness across the community of the risks surrounding diabetes, the Health Services Authority will mark the day by offering various screenings relevant to diabetes.
We will be having blood sugar testing, high blood pressure testing, weight and height assessment, nutrition education, We will also be doing HbA1c, courtesy of CEDA, and as well we will be doing eye testing for glaucoma, courtesy of the Lions Club of Tropical Gardens.
HSA's Tamara Worms-Riley says the focus is on the impact that diabetes has on the family, and it promotes the role of the family in management, care, and prevention and education of diabetes. It's also to support the network of those who are affected. It all happens today from 8:30 until 2 at the Cayman Islands Hospital Atrium. And now with a check of international news, here's the BBC who will take us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
BBC News with David Austin. Israel's Defence Minister Avigdor Lieberman has said he'll resign and pull his party out of the coalition government in protest at the latest Gaza ceasefire. Mr. Lieberman, a right-wing nationalist, called the accord a surrender to terror. His decision leaves Benjamin Netanyahu's coalition with a slim one-seat majority in Parliament. The British Cabinet will meet shortly to decide whether to back a draft agreement with the European Union on the terms of Britain's exit from the bloc. The Prime Minister, Theresa May, faces fierce opposition from hardline Brexit supporters in her party. Hundreds of people have fled Afghanistan's western city of Farah as fighting between security forces and Taliban militants has intensified. There are reports that some militants have managed to sneak into the city, prompting concerns about the government's ability to hold it. And that's the latest. BBC News.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
I can tell you
Williams Production presents The Crab Family in Cayman, Monday, December 31st at the Lions Center in support of Adasi. Kickoff time is at 7 p.m. Tickets are only $25 and $35 at the gate. Purchase your tickets now at the Christian Enlightenment Center and Funky Dance. It's all brought to you by the Office of the Premier, Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport, Value Med Pharmacy, Cayman First, Uncle Clem's, Hides and Son, Praise 87.9 FM, Tony's Toys, and Radio Cayman. The Crab Family in the Cayman Islands, Monday, December 31st at the Lions Center.
sometimes it takes a mountain. Sometimes a troubled sea.
Did you know that recycling collection containers are located island-wide on Grand Cayman? The Department of Environmental Health's program is an integral part of DEH's waste management responsibility in the Cayman Islands. Start your recycling program at home today. Put your Type 1 and 2 plastics in appropriate DEH recycling containers at all Foster's supermarkets, Kirk Market, or Hurley's Grand Harbor. Please keep the Cayman Islands clean. Reduce, reuse, and recycle. For more information about recycling, go to www.deh.gov.ky.
Tune in to Radio Cayman every morning at 7:20 a.m. for your daily weather update. Proudly brought to you by Miller's Plumbing and Accessories. With over 47 years of experience, they'll get the job done for you on time. Free estimate. Miller's Plumbing and Accessories. Call them at 949-4709 for a free...
In financial news, global shares were mostly lower today after the steepest drop in oil prices in more than 3 years put investors in a selling mood on Wall Street. Keeping score, France's CAC slipped nearly 1% in early trading to 5,051. Germany's DAX was down 0.8% at 11,375. Britain's FTSE 100 lost 0.7% to 7,005. U.S. shares were set to drift lower, with Dow futures slipping 0.2% at 25,291. S&P 500 futures were down 0.3% at 2,720. Looking at Asia's day, Japan's benchmark Nikkei 225 inched up 0.2% to finish at 21,846, while Australia's S&P ASX 200 lost 1.7% to 5,732. South Korea's Kospi edged down 0.2% at 2,068. Hong Kong's Hang Seng fell half a percentage point to 25,654, while the Shanghai Composite was down nearly 0.9% at 2,632. In energy, benchmark U.S. crude oil dipped 17 cents to $55.52. It plunged 7.1% to $55.69 a barrel on Tuesday. Brent crude, used to price international oils, dropped 4 cents to $65.43 a barrel. Oil has now fallen for 12 straight days, driven by worries over rising oil production around the world and weakening demand from developing countries, with expectations for increased supply from the U.S. and OPEC. And in currencies, the dollar slipped to 113.90 yen from 114.01 late Tuesday in Asia. The euro strengthened to 1.1296 from 1.1252.
Thousands of Caymanians work in our cruise tourism industry. It is a myth that Cayman does not need cruise tourism. It is a fact that 4,500 Caymanians work in this industry today as taxi and tour operators, boat captains and crew, restaurateurs, retailers, water sports operators, and ambassadors at our attractions. If our cruise tourism industry is half of what it is today, what are we going to do with our people, the thousands of unemployed Caymanians? Support the peers, support our tourism.
This is Cayman Up Close, a weekly special feature from Radio Cayman News.
I'm Shanda Gallego.
Shanda Gallego goes behind the scenes with Cayman's newsmakers, artists, and emerging talent to get their unique and personal experience, their real story.
This week, we turn the spotlight.
Sundays at noon, 6:10 p.m. and 10:10 p.m. and always online at radiocayman.gov.ky. Tune in for Cayman Up Close this weekend.
Your weather update after 8 is brought to you by Brand Source Home Gallery, creating elegant bathrooms with European-style fixtures and fittings.
Plus, a good morning. Time now for the latest weather report. Current temperature is 84 degrees. Relative humidity is 88%. Barometric pressure 29.96 inches and rising. The wind is out of the northeast at 7 knots. Overnight low temperature was 78. Synopsis indicate light northeasterly winds and seas expected over the next 24 hours as a ridge of high pressure weakens as it moves over the western Atlantic Ocean. A cold front currently across the eastern Gulf of Mexico will move towards the Yucatan Peninsula and will support north to northeasterly winds across the northwest Caribbean from tonight. Radar images show isolated showers over the Cayman area, moving towards the west. Now the forecast for the Cayman Islands for today, calling for partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers, and temperatures will rise to the upper 80s. Your winds will be northeast at 5 to 10 knots, and seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. Forecast for tonight, calling for partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers mainly over Grand Cayman, and temperatures falling to the mid-70s tonight. Your winds will be northeast at 5 to 10 knots, and seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. Low tide will be this morning at 8:40, high tide this afternoon at 8 minutes past 4, and a low tide again tonight at 10:39. The sun will set this evening at 5:45 and will rise tomorrow morning at 6:34. And the outlook is calling for the cold front to move into the extreme northwest Caribbean by tomorrow morning, with moderate winds and seas thereafter. And stronger winds behind the cold front will produce some swells along the west coast of Grand Cayman, possibly from tomorrow evening. That's the very latest on your weather report.
Update after 8 is brought to you by Brand Source Home Gallery, creating elegant bathrooms with European-style fixtures and fittings.
Hi, I'm remodeling our bathroom. I have a few questions.
Sure.
What are some ideas to make my bathroom feel larger? How do I know if I'm picking the right vanity? How do I choose a new toilet or a new countertop? Also, the lighting is terrible. Can I put a window or a skylight? And do I really need an exhaust fan?
You've come to the right place. At Brand Source, we custom design kitchen and baths, and our talented design team can help answer your questions. Whether you're looking for a modern, functional family bathroom or a luxurious personal retreat, we'll help create that beautiful space that makes your home yours. And if you're in a rush for a new look and have a limited budget, our ready-to-install bathroom vanities, built with solid wood and countertops of the finest materials, are a quick and easy remodeling solution.
For the very best in custom-designed kitchens and baths, visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, Cayman's new kitchen and bath center.
Good morning once again, and time now to take a look at what's happening traffic-wise. Coming off Agnes Way, just off the Linford-Pearson Highway, traffic is steady and busy traffic on the Linford-Pearson Highway, as well as on Shamrock Road. Heavy traffic just past the Tomlinson roundabout. So some slight delays expected this morning as you head on down to Georgetown. Coming off Bobby Thompson Way, moderate flow of traffic, as well as on Thomas Russell Avenue and Huldah Avenue. Cool Road, little steady traffic in some sections, and other sections busy. Coming from the West Bay 4-way stop, light to moderate traffic flow heading towards the West Bay 4-way stop. And coming from the West Bay 4-way stop, moderate flow of traffic. On the West Bay Road in front of the Ritz, traffic heading to Georgetown is steady but flowing, and moderate flow of traffic coming from Georgetown area heading to the West Bay area. In and out of Georgetown on Shedden Road, traffic flowing moderately. And remember, when you see a school bus with lights flashing red and a stop sign, stop means stop. Have a good morning and drive safe, Cayman Islands.
Run off that extra helping of turkey dinner and give back in a big way this Thanksgiving. Register now for the Meals on Wheels Turkey Trot 5K and 10K Fun Walk and Run on Saturday, November 24th at the Holiday Inn Resort in Safe Haven. Registration is only $25, and there are lots of spot prizes to be won. Breakfast, a costume competition, children's race, and so much more. Sponsored in part by Rum Point Club Residences and Greenlight Re. Help Meals on Wheels fight senior hunger in the Cayman Islands. Visit www.mealsonwheels.ky or register at caymanactive.com.
In local sports, everyone is invited to show support for Cayman's dads at the 7th Annual Fathers 5K Walk Run. This year, organizers have teamed up with the Family Resource Center to make this an extra special International Men's Day event. Saturday's run walk starts at Smith Cove, 6 a.m. for walkers, 6:30 for runners. You can register at caymanactive.com or on the day at 5:30 a.m. The cost is $15 for adults and $5 for kids under the age of 18. There are cool prizes up for grabs, including Cayman Airways vouchers, gift certificates, DVDs and books. Water and snacks will also be on hand. Proceeds this year go towards YMCA Cayman Islands and the 1,000-man March Outreach Mentoring Program. In international sports and cricket news, Sri Lanka spinners restricted England to 212 for 7 at tea on the first day of the second test after the tourists won the toss today and elected to bat first. Sri Lanka had picked up 4 wickets in the morning session and made further inroads by claiming 3 wickets after lunch at the International Stadium. England leads the 3-match series 1-0 after winning the first test in Galle by 211 runs. And the so-called Garlic Girls, who swept to fame during their stirring run to an Olympic curling silver medal, have alleged they were verbally abused by a South Korean official and subjected to unreasonable orders from coaches. South Korea's sports ministry today announced a joint investigation with the National Olympic Committee into the allegations. The 5-member women's curling team sparked unprecedented national attention for their sport in February before losing to Sweden in the final on home ice at Pyeongchang Olympics.
At Kirk's Home Center, we can make your life much better. We got it all together. We got a great deal in store for you. From cookware to stereos, from power tools to plumbing supplies. Yeah, we got the best goods with the best price and a service to make you smile. At Kirk's Home Center, we got a great deal in store for you.
Initiating system.
For information that matter, For the Record with Orrett Connor continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. As I promised you, we're going to have Dr. Steve Markfield on the line. I want to say to those of you who are waiting or who would want to call in, please wait until our conversation is finished with Dr. Steve Markfield. This way you won't be put on hold for such a long period of time waiting. I want to preface my conversation with Dr. Steve Markfield by reading from the Jamaica Observer editorial of yesterday, Tuesday the 13th of November, and it reads, part of this editorial reads, keen observers of the Caribbean Court of Justice would have felt a sense of gratitude to former Prime Minister Bruce Golding for his very studious assessment of the future of the court in his Sunday Observer article headlined, "What Now for the CCJ?" Goes on to say that Mr. Golden came close to objective as one can reasonably get in taking an omnibus look at the possible fate of the CCJ following the decisive no votes in Grenada and Antigua and Barbuda against the CCJ becoming the final court of appeal. Mr. Golden, in his article in the Jamaica Observer of Sunday, the 11th of November, entitled, "What Now for the CCJ?" And again, I'm encouraging all of those of you who have an interest in this, please read Mr. Golden's article as well as the editorial. We will be discussing it with Dr. Steve Markfield. And he starts off by saying, the prospects of the Caribbean Court of Justice, the CCJ, expanding its appellate jurisdiction beyond the 4 countries that have already signed on, and they are Barbados, Guyana, Belize, and Dominica, was dealt a severe blow last week. The voters of Grenada, as well as Antigua and Barbuda, roundly rejected the proposal for it to replace the Judicial Committee of the UK's Privy Council as the final court of appellate court. And later on in the article, there are presented figures in relation to the voting that took place. In the case of Grenada, this was the second time that they had a referendum on it and the second time that it was defeated. Interestingly, those 2 countries that had the referenda recently are ruled by parties. In the case of Grenada, they swept all of the seats in their parliament, and in the case of Antigua, I think they held 13 out of the 15 or something of that nature. Huge majorities that they were voted in with, but unable to secure a yes vote on their countries joining the CCJ. Let's go to the phone lines. Dr. Markfield, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Thanks for making yourself available, sir.
Good morning to you, Mr. For the Record. And how are you this morning?
I'm fine, and I know you're okay. You're an early bird. That is why you keep looking so young, and you keep yourself in such good physical shape.
Thank you very much. Yes. Does the article surprise you? Does Mr. Golding's article surprise you?
Not one bit.
No, because you have to go back to the original idea of a Caribbean Court of Appeal. Remember now, the Caribbean Court of Appeal only comes out of the Treaty of Chaguaramas.
Right.
Yeah, where all of these countries tried to get together after the failure of the Caribbean Federation to be able to put something together politically.
Right.
Yes. Some sort of integration politically. Well, when the Caribbean had a chance to have a Caribbean Court of Justice, was during the Federation. You remember they had the federal court.
Yes.
The federal Supreme Court of the Caribbean, and of course. That would have been the nucleus for a Caribbean Court of Justice, because it was all the members of the court were appointed by the different countries to sit on that court.
Right.
Today it's not the same. It's not the same now. The Caribbean, most of the judges now are appointed in the Caribbean are appointed by the heads of state, by the leaders of the state. Remember a few days ago, a few weeks ago, a few months ago, the controversy in Jamaica where the Prime Minister refused to permanently appoint the Chief Justice of Jamaica, and said that his appointment he was only acting, and then he had to prove himself before the permanent appointment came. Well, that caused such an uproar in Jamaica that the next week he had to go and reverse what he had done and appoint him as the permanently as the Chief Justice of Jamaica. Why? It's because the leaders, what he was doing in essence is say, you prove to me that you are worthy of being the Chief Justice of Jamaica. In other words, do what I say and do things that I approve of before you get an appointment. And that is not how people should be appointed.
Sounds very Trumpian.
Exactly. And so the problem that we have in the Caribbean is that after the Caribbean Federation, before the Caribbean Federation broke up, you had all this turmoil. Now, the British government did not envisage when they set up the Caribbean Federation that you would have all this turmoil because they believed that all people in the Caribbean were like in England, Wales, Scotland, and Ireland, even though they had problems there. And like the Canadians when they set up the federal government in Canada. The Caribbean is a diverse place as Africa is today.
Yes.
And what we have in the Caribbean is the many people in the Caribbean do not believe, or they're not convinced that the members of the court of the CCJ have the kind of experience that the members of the Privy Council have in England. They do not have the judicial history. They do not have the jurisprudence precedent that they have in England. Remember now that the judicial committee of the Privy Council arose out of the old Privy Council, where the king appointed his most trusted advisors, and then out of that came the judicial committee of the Privy Council.
Okay.
Now the Privy Council hears at least 70 cases a year, and the Privy Council is the final court of appeal for some 17 independent states, countries, even New Zealand, Jamaica, Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and all the British overseas territories. It also includes Bermuda, Cayman Islands, Gibraltar, the bailiwicks of New Jersey, Jersey and Guernsey, and the Isles of Man. So the Privy Council has, and the Privy Council Act was formally carved out of the old Privy Council, who advised the Privy Council who advised the King in 1833. That is when it became separate from the Privy Council and became the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council.
Yes.
Now, the Privy Council also has people from all over the Commonwealth are appointed to the Privy Council. We were lucky many years ago when we had Mr. Justice Carr, the late Mr. Justice Carr, the late Mr. Stelford Georges, and Mr. Zaka. There were three members of the Cayman Court of Appeal, and they were also Privy Councillors also.
Okay.
They were also appointed to the Privy Council also. So you see, you have experience from all over the Commonwealth on the Privy Council with years and years of experience. Now, unlike the Caribbean Court of Justice, where judges are appointed by their prime ministers and so forth, in England, the Privy Councillors are appointed by the Judicial Service Commission, something similar to what we have here.
Okay.
They are appointed, and not only, and they don't want to come like from Norman Manley School and go to be practice and go to practice for a couple of years and then get appointed to the CCJ. Most of the judges in England come from the and the Privy Council come from the Court of Appeal. They come from the Supreme Court, and like I say, they come from the Commonwealth courts. That's how they are appointed, and so they're not subject to political whim, and so the people in the Caribbean has more confidence in how the Privy Council is set up, how it evolved through the centuries, and how it developed its jurisprudence and how it developed its independence.
But Dr. Markfield, what do we say to those people who say, yes, the Privy Council has that long history and experience, but there are those critics who say that they're hundreds of miles away from us, thousands of miles away from us, actually do not know the culture of the Caribbean, do not know the way of life of the people of the Caribbean, but yet make judgments, either on their behalf or against them. What do we say to those?
That may be true. That may be true. But if you look at their judgment, their judgment have always been very sound, and they have also been very profound. Now, I admit that in the old days, when there was little knowledge of the colonies, the overseas colonies, by those men who sat in the Privy Council, that you could say that, but you can't say that today. You cannot say that today. When you have the lawyers and the eminent Queen's counsels and stuff appearing before the Privy Council from the colonies.
Okay, Dr. Markfield, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to keep you on the line. It's going to just be a short break for commercial, and then we're going to come back to you. Just hang in there. We'll be back with you shortly, Doc.
You remember the sale at Vant Motors?
Yeah, the Your Sale, Your Choice, the one where you can get cash back or can put the savings to extend the warranty or upgrade features?
Yes, it's still going on, but now you can get $8,000 off a new Ford Ranger truck. $8,000, you know?
You for real?
Come see for yourself. While they still have so much to choose from, save big during Your Sale, Your Choice at Vant Motors. With almost every vehicle on sale, you decide whether to get your dream ride at its lowest price. Take cash back, add years to the warranty or service plan. Choose an add-on or mix your options. Your sale, your choice, because you know what you need, and Vant Motors will help you drive it home. Vant Motors on Walkers Road.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, formerly known as Professional Pharmacy, would like to thank the Cayman communities for their loyal support these past 18 years. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care. Thorough background checks and follow-up consultations is only the beginning. Your safety is our concern. Our staff are respected healthcare professionals whose job requires careful and precise calculations. Thank you for being a part of our family and for choosing CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, where we prepare to provide exceptional care. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we care about your health.
Cayman's cruise industry must be preserved and developed. It is a myth that the cruise lines will continue to call on Cayman at the rate they do now without the piers. It is a fact that the mega-class ships will not be tendered. Arrivals will decline by half over time as the older ships are decommissioned. This will hurt our economy and thousands of Caymanians who work in this industry. If we want to continue providing opportunities for Caymanians, we need the piers. Support the piers. Support our tourism.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record, with your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're on the phone with Dr. Steve Markfield. We're discussing two items in the Jamaica Observer. The first one is a column written by former Prime Minister of Jamaica, Mr. Bruce Golden, and it is entitled, What Now for the CCJ? That is the Caribbean Court of Justice, which now has as its national clients Barbados, Guyana, Belize, and Dominica. Last week, attempts were made in Grenada and in Antigua by way of a referenda to seek permission to have the Caribbean Court of Justice as a court of last resort for those countries. And those referenda failed in those two jurisdictions as well. Also, in response to Mr. Golden's article, the Jamaica Observer yesterday had an editorial entitled The CCJ, that is the Caribbean Court of Justice, an idea whose time is yet to come. And again, I encourage all who are interested, read both of those articles. Now, before I go back to Dr. Markfield, I'm going to read this and ask him to comment on it. In the Observer's editorial, there's two paragraphs that read, "By their collective wisdom, Caribbean people have said to their leaders that they are not yet in a place in which they can trust their court of last resort to a local institution. Honest people understand why. There has been too long a history of local politicians manipulating even institutions of justice to have their corrupt way. That has started to change, especially given external pressure, but the process has been much too slow." Dr. Markfield, your comments on those observations by the Observer.
Well, look, read the next paragraph.
Sure. Okay. To be sure, the court has gone some way in trying to show that its judges are beyond political influence. But one swallow doth not a summer make. That is the bird. You know, if you see one swallow in the air, that doesn't mean that summer is coming. The stench of corruption will take a great deal more disinfectant before Caribbean populations will breathe easier. Doesn't speak well.
That is the whole crux of the reasons why we do not have a CCJ as a final court of appeal in the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
There has been too much corruption in the system, and there have been too much corrupt politicians appointing judges who they believe will bend their way and give them the decision that they want and that they need to be able to stay in power, for instance, or to curtail their opponents. And that has been the history of the Caribbean for centuries now. And as the article said, that still exists. And the Caribbean people do not trust that if they go and institute a court of justice for all the Caribbean today, that they will be happy with it.
Mm-hmm.
They do not feel safe. I just want to go back to your other point that you made about not understanding the courts, the Privy Council not understanding the nuances of Caribbean culture.
Right.
I just found this note in my notes, and it says that, for example, all of the Court of Appeal of New Zealand was part of the Privy Council in the last 20 years. And it goes on to say, Sir Thomas Flo Isaac from the Eastern Caribbean Court of Appeal was also on the Privy Council.
Okay.
Telford Georges from the Bahamas Court of Appeal was also a member of the Privy Council.
Mm-hmm.
And Edward Zaka, Supreme Court of Jamaica, was also on the Court of Appeal on the Privy Council. So those people are all West Indians and stuff. So they bring to the court the flavor of the West Indies, and so that criticism about not understanding the nuances of the Caribbean does not hold water, because the Privy Council has so many judges from different parts of the Commonwealth that sits on the Court of Appeal and hear the cases and understands the case law and understands the difference between the jurisprudence in the Caribbean and the jurisprudence in England. For example, I know a long time ago there's a case I think I called the Crown against Hilton, where a man's wife was in New York and she was having an affair with another man, and his friend wrote to him in Jamaica and said, "You better let your wife come home because she's having an affair."
Mm-hmm.
So she came back to Jamaica, and she was disengaged from her husband. Now, it was in a time in Jamaica when the gunman had just started to emerge in the 1950s, 60s, and she refused to have any conjugal relationships with him. And one night they were in bed, and he always kept his pistol on the window sill, just in case someone broke in. and they had an argument while they were in bed. And then she finally told him, yes, I have a man in New York. And so you want to know? I have a man in New York. That's why I stayed there. And I can tell you he's better in bed than you. And her husband shot and killed her. And the case wound up in the Privy Council.
Mm-hmm.
And the question was whether or not those words that she said him amounted to provocation that should go to manslaughter instead of murder. And the Privy Council members that on the Court of Appeal that sat on the Court of Appeal at that time said that the average reasonable Englishman would not take those words to be provocative, and therefore the murder conviction would stand, and they would not reduce the charge to manslaughter. Well, you know, as a West Indian man, a woman tell you that, especially in a heated argument.
Yes, yes.
You're looking to get your head chopped off, or
unfortunately, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, that's how it is. But those nuances now I think have been erased by the members from the Caribbean who sit on the Court of Appeal and who want to stand those different nuances, and a whole lot of jurisprudence have grown up now, have been developed now in the Privy Council that has not developed in the CCJ. Most of the people.
Sorry, go ahead.
Most of the people in the CCJ have never worked outside the Caribbean. They have never been in a court in England,
mm-hmm.
or a court in Canada, or a court anywhere else. So some of them have come just from the Manor Law School, practice law, and then put on the court on the CCJ. And that is something that the article is speaking about.
Mm-hmm.
They're not sure that they have the complete separation of powers, and that they have the independence, for instance, that we have in Cayman.
So Doc, how do we go about changing the selection of judges to the CCJ that will get countries over that hump in terms of the perception that they have in terms of the political influence, and removing that political influence? How do we get there?
Well, the first thing they should start doing is they should remove an appointment from politicians. They should start moving appointment from particular politicians, from prime ministers and so forth, to the CCJ. They should have a Judicial Service Commission, and they should appoint people like in England. The Judicial Service Commission has something like 30 people
mm-hmm.
on it from different walks of life, who appoint people according to what they think their abilities are and according to what their ethnic backgrounds are to the court.
But it's a good possibility that the selection to those members of the Judicial Services Commission would be political appointments as well. So
yes, they can be appointment, but in the perception of the public.
Mm-hmm.
Once the public is satisfied with the appointment, then the criticism would go away, because once your populace is satisfied that the people who sit on the Judicial Service Commission are at least have some semblance of independence and are not subject to the women fancy of the political arm who appointed them, then you start the process of moving the courts towards where the Privy Council has been moved over the last 2 centuries.
Okay, Dr. Markfield, before I let you go, I don't want to let you go yet. I want you to comment on this, the paragraph. Well, we're going to take a break, but when we come back, this will give you an opportunity to look at it. I know you've read the whole thing already. In Mr. Golden's column, the paragraph that is headed "Continued Access to the Privy Council," and some statements made in the UK in relation to the Privy Council. We want to discuss that when we return. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly. We will still continue to have Dr. Steve Markfield on the line.
A trip to New York City is the experience of a lifetime. Starting this December, Cayman Airways will be offering daily non-stop flights from Grand Cayman to New York City. That's right, Cayman Airways is going daily to New York City starting this December. Stroll through Central Park or take in the bright lights of Times Square. Enjoy a Broadway show or visit museums, the Empire State Building, and so much more. Whether you're visiting for business or pleasure, you'll fall in love with New York City. And daily non-stop flights from Grand Cayman aboard Cayman Airways starting this December. For details and to book, call all Cayman Airways reservations at 949-2311. Contact a travel agent or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Not all insurance is created equal, but who has the time to shop around? Take the guesswork out of your insurance coverage with Fidelity Insurance Brokers. Let us match you with the best coverage to suit your needs at a price to suit your wallet. Plus, get superior customer service from dedicated claims professionals to ensure speedy claims processing. Get your insurance through Fidelity Insurance Brokers. Call us today at 949-7822 for a free quote. Fidelity, we're good for you.
You remember the sale at Vant Motors?
Yeah, the Your Sale, Your Choice, the one where you can get cash back or can put the savings to extend the warranty or upgrade features?
Yes, it's still going on, but now you can get $8,000 off a new Ford Ranger truck. $8,000, you know?
You for real?
Come see for yourself. While they still have so much to choose from, save big during Your Sale, Your Choice at Vant Motors. With almost every vehicle on sale, you decide whether to get your dream ride at its lowest price. Take cash back, add years to the warranty or service plan. Choose an add-on or mix your options. Your sale, your choice, because you know what you need, and Vant Motors will help you drive it home. Vant Motors on Walkers Road.
Cayman Kind is the Cayman experience.
We work at the Cayman Craft Market.
It is a myth that we do not need the cruise ship industry.
It is a fact that when there are no ships in port, we do not earn a living. We depend on the cruise industry, and if it was to reduce by half, many others just like us would suffer immensely. We want to work and provide for our families.
We need the pier.
Support the piers. Support our tourism.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We have Dr. Steve Markfield on the line. We're discussing with Dr. Steve Markfield one article written by former Prime Minister of Jamaica, Mr. Bruce Golden, in relation to the Caribbean Court of Justice, the CCJ. And that column is entitled, What Now for the CCJ? Then yesterday in the same Jamaica Observer, the editorial entitled The CCJ, that is the Caribbean Court of Justice, an idea whose time is yet to come, which was basically a response to Mr. Golden's article and the comments on it, as well, and talking about how insightful it was. And I must say that the article, the column by Mr. Golden is quite extensive, lots of research done on it, lots of figures as well, and we would want to share some of them with you as we go along also. I spoke before we went to the break, I said I wanted Dr. Markfield to look at the section entitled Continued Access to the Privy Council. And it reads here, a concern frequently expressed is the possibility that the British government may one day decide that the Caribbean is too much of a bother and their appeals will no longer be allowed. The pronouncement in 2009 by Lord Phillips, who presided over the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council, that appeals from independent Commonwealth countries had become a burden and that they should devise their own final appellate system, created quite a stir amongst pro-CCJ advocates. And this was their opportunity to say, see, the UK no longer wants us, we need to get our own. That view was not supported by the British government, and Lord Phillips' successor, Lord Newburgh, indicated that appeals from the Commonwealth countries would continue to be welcomed. He obviously saw value in hearing cases from these countries as a means of further developing Commonwealth jurisprudence. The current president, Lady Hale, shortly before she assumed office, was quoted in an interview as saying, "There always will be a need for the Privy Council to maintain its judicial functions, even if it will only concern a few small countries." Dr. Markfield, your observation, your comments on those issues.
I agree with that, because over the years the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council has lost its a lot of the its overseas jurisdictions to former colonies such as Australia, such as Bangladesh, such as Canada, Hong Kong, India, Malaysia, Singapore, Zimbabwe, and so forth. Those countries, for instance, have written in their independent constitutions as independent states whether they want to continue to permit their appeals to the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council or not. So that is enshrined in their written constitution. Now, it seems to me that if all of these states, and although it would be cheaper to have a CCJ in the Caribbean that you could travel easily, and it would be cheaper than going to the Privy Council, because it's expensive to go to the Privy Council, you know.
Right, and it's expensive for the litigants as well, right?
For the little person to get his justice in the highest court. So
yes.
Usually when he goes to the Grand Court or he goes to the Court of Appeal and he doesn't get the justice he wants there, he pays away because he does not have the money to do that. But the feeling has always been with all of the countries, especially the independent states, that they have the right to say whether or not they would continue. Now, as the British government has said, as long as the territories wish the Privy Council to be their final court of appeal, they will provide the services to them. It's the same thing they have said to us continually about our constitutional advancement. If you want independence, come and talk to us about it, and we will set the date for you. It's up to you. The British government has not said to any of these countries, any of these independent countries whose constitution said that they still want the Privy Council as their final court of appeal, or who wants their own court as their final court of appeal. They have never said that they were wrong, or they never said they were right, and they have never chased them away. And I don't think that's going to exist as long as the Privy Council in England sits, and as long as you have people from the different Commonwealth countries sitting with the law lords in England and on the Privy Council. So I don't think that is a reason for saying that the British government will withdraw their services from all of those countries who depend on the Privy Council as their final court of appeal.
Okay. Sorry. Go ahead, Doc. Sorry.
Certainly, I don't think that's going to happen for Cayman Islands, and the boat that you saw recently. Other Caribbean countries feel the same way too.
Yes. Now, also, Doc, we can point out to our listening and viewing audience that not all of the countries, in independent countries of the Caribbean, have in their constitutions using the Privy Council as the final court. So not all of them necessarily have to go by way of a referendum to seek that change. There are some who can do it legislatively through their parliaments.
That's right.
Whether or not they have the majority, in many cases it is 2/3 majority in order for it to be done.
Yeah.
But there are countries, like for instance, like the Bahamas, who have said that they have no intention of changing as well. Now, Mr. Golding, Prime Minister Golding, in his final paragraph states, the failure of the CCJ to achieve inclusiveness and growth originally envisaged should not be surprising. Like you said, was it surprising? No, it shouldn't be.
Yes.
That has been the fate of so many other regional initiatives. It is now facing a reality check given the recent referenda results and their implications for its future. The debate about Jamaica acceding to its appellate jurisdiction will most likely dissipate, because in Jamaica, you have, and this is what I'm saying now, this is not part of the article, you basically had the People's National Party that were more pro-CCJ than anything else. Also in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Prime Minister there, former Prime Minister in St. Lucia, all pro-CCJ prime ministers, but unable to get that change done.
Well, if you notice that Jamaica has the right to say that they want to join the CCJ or not.
Yes,
they don't have to go to a referendum.
Right.
Because they have that, the party who has the majority in the legislature can do that. But why have none of the parties done that? Why have they not done it administratively or legislatively? It's because of their people that they are afraid of. And you remember what happened when Norman Manley destroyed the Caribbean Federation by succumbing to a challenge by his cousin Sir Alexander Bustamante. And the man who they say is the father of Jamaica never became prime minister. Do you realize that?
Yes.
Because of that mistake that he made when he called a referendum as to whether Jamaica should lead a federation or not. He didn't have to do that. So all of those historical things are in the back of the minds of the politicians. Politicians in Jamaica, they're afraid. They're afraid to take the chance, to take the vote in Parliament in Jamaica to do it, and so they always will have a referendum here and there to see whether their people like it or not. And their people are saying to them, "We don't trust you. We don't trust you. The countries have been too corrupt, and the judges will come from that corrupt atmosphere." And they say we rather stay with the Privy Council as a department away from the corruption in which we believe that a judgment is sound and it's sound and it comes from sound precedent that's set by the court.
Doc, I have one more question for you, and then I'm going to let you go because I'm really much appreciative of you spending so much time with us. How much influence do you believe that the legal fraternity in these jurisdictions have in terms of the way things go now? They probably don't come out publicly whether or not they support the referendum or are against it. But do you think that the legal fraternity in these jurisdictions has any sway?
I think I don't know about the Eastern Caribbean, but I can tell you in Jamaica that they're not ready yet to accept a CCJ. They say that the experience is not there, the independence is not there, the jurisprudence is not there, and they're saying that there's going to take a long time before. I can tell you that the majority of the bar in Jamaica, that's the way they feel. They do not have confidence in the CCJ.
Okay.
Because a lot of them know the people who are on the CCJ, and they know that their experience, and they know that some of them don't have the experience to be on the CCJ. It's a similar thing with Caribbean cricket. People get onto the team because of who they know and because of political appointment, and the team you see where it is today.
Yep.
It's at the bottom of the heap, and I think that is an example of how they feel about the CCJ. They don't feel that they don't have confidence in it really.
The recent decision by the CCJ in relation to the transgender people in Guyana. Do you think a similar decision would have been arrived at by the Privy Council?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
You don't think so? Okay.
No.
Any have about 1 minute left. Any final comments, Dr. Markfield? And again, thank you very much for making yourself available.
I think, Orrett, I think that you were on the right track, and I think that what you should do is how some of these forums on your radio station not by remote radio, but by with other learned people in the community,
including yourself.
Yeah, what their position is, because it's very important. Because it's very important that we peruse these things now and understand them, because we don't want to get down to the point where sometimes we might have to start thinking about our own traveling and paddling our own canoe, and when we got there, we don't know how to
exactly.
And so forth. And I think that this is a great your video program. I have told you this all along from the first time I came with you, that it is the greatest forum for educating the Caymanian people about these crucial things that we need to know. The next generation need to know where they are going, and I think it's so. And I think you should put more of these things on. Have more time, a couple of 2 or 3 hours with these things, with the scholars and stuff in your community.
Okay.
And I applaud you for doing this. I think it's a great thing, and I'm grateful that you could call on me.
Thank you very much, Doc. You have a great day, and we will talk more. Folks, please stay tuned. We're going to our headline news at 9 o'clock. After that, we have half an hour left. We're going to open up the phone lines, anything that you want to talk about. If not, I'm going to go to the Guardian, and I'm going to talk about an article about the Treasury's tweet shows slavery is still misunderstood, how the UK has still misunderstood the whole concept of slavery and its ramification. Please stay tuned. For the Record, I'll be back shortly.
Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
Fashion Forward recently raised funds to benefit the Business and Professional Women's Corrine Thompson Memorial Scholarship Program. Teens from Taya Lounge hosted the show at Royal Palms. Youth from Synchronized Swimming performed, and the final show was presented by Quintessential Movement. The UK is, quote, significantly closer to delivering on the result of the Brexit vote. This is according to Theresa May. She faces a crunch cabinet meeting today as she tries to win colleagues' support for the draft withdrawal agreement. She told the Commons it would give the UK control of borders, laws, and money, and also protect businesses and jobs. Hundreds of Central American migrants traveling through Mexico to seek asylum in the U.S. have reached the Mexican border city of Tijuana. The group of 400, who include LGBTQ migrants, broke away from the larger caravan of 5,000 people in Mexico City. U.S. Defense Secretary James Mattis said he would go to the U.S.-Mexico border today, his first visit since thousands of troops were deployed. Those are your headlines. I'm Carsley Fuller.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands. What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the Record with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We have Mr. James Miles in the studio with us now as well, and we're going to be talking about the National Youth Forum a little bit later on. But we do have one caller, so let's go to the phone lines caller. Good morning, welcome to For the Record.
Yes, good morning, O.C.
Morning, how are you?
Not too bad, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks.
Did you go to the memorial?
No, Remembrance Day? No, I didn't go to it, no.
Okay. O.C., good morning to your guest there, sorry. Mr. James Miles, is there?
Yeah, he's just stepped out of the studio. He'll be back in shortly.
Okay, then. O.C., I just called in to really commend Dr. Markfield and you for that bulletin just now, I would say, about the courts. Hello?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for that.
And I really think that Radio Cayman need more of that coming from people like him, especially him, because he really tries to teach, I would say, a lot of people what really is taking place in the Caribbean, and it's very important, especially for young people, to realize that, the way how things are today, me and you not going to be around in the next 10, 15, 20 years, but it's time that we get this thing straight, because with the courts in the Caribbean, I can easily see things getting much more corrupted if it continue like how it is. And I want to say I really appreciate Dr. Markfield coming on there this morning.
Certainly do as well, caller, because I was reading these two articles yesterday. And, before I even finished reading them, I called him. I didn't get him at that time. He returned the call, and I told him about the two articles. And I said, I'd like to call you up tomorrow to talk about them.
Yeah.
And in such short notice, he was on the ball.
Yeah, man. And I really feel I'm grateful to know that we have someone like him to really sort of get things across and let people know what really is happening,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And explaining in such, in such a way that, it's very simple to understand.
Yes, and that's what we want. We want to make sure that everyone who is within our earshot of this program, that they understand it. So we try to keep it in as simple terms as possible so that everyone can follow, everyone can understand.
Yeah, man, I try to listen every morning, man. I tell you, having him on there would be an asset to the Cayman Islands, more regularly, I would say.
Thank you very much, caller, for that, and continue to listen. And I will do my endeavor best to ensure that the content keeps people informed and it keeps people interested as well. We have another caller. Let's go to the phone lines again. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, OC.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning to you.
Mm.
And if you still have a guest there, good morning to that
good morning.
person.
Okay.
I was in Jamaica just a few days ago, and I admire, I can't explain the feelings that I had when they take the whole month of November and call it Youth Month. And it was quizzes on to the television of just primary school children, and some of the questions that those children were asked and answered. My God, I would have to go back in a computer encyclopedia because I didn't know half of the answers. And these are primary school children. I admire that they take the whole month of November to do educational things. I had suggested to the Pirates Week committee about bringing the children out in the public and from primary schools and let them do songs and things like that I had seen in other countries where people do. And now I don't know if this would happen. I don't know, but we need to get back to our basics where children are taught where they come from and what went on in olden days that has made Cayman. Not people come in here and think that they know it all, think that because they have a work permit that they can tell you about the ocean, which they learn to dive in a pool, and most of them, and whatnot. We need to get back to our basics, and the only people that can do that is our own people that sings about Cayman and love Cayman and don't back off from what they know and telling their children of olden times and how Cayman has progressed, but it has not progressed in the way that we would want it to go, of teaching our own children. And I am so happy. I agree with the last caller about Mr. Markfield, Dr. Markfield. My God, we need some more of Dr. Markfield. We need to hear more from him, O.C.
Certainly do, yes.
We need to hear more from other people that have great knowledge of what has Cayman been and where it's going, where we would like to see it go. And I wanted to also say that we need human rights for the Cayman people in this country.
Okay, caller, I want to thank you very much for that, and certainly there are many who share your view on that as well. In the studio with me, we have Mr. James Jamo Miles, and we want to talk about the National Youth Forum, the Cayman Islands Youth Assembly, and the forum that you will be having and what you will be exploring during that forum. Welcome to For the Record, Mr. James
Thank
Miles.
you very much for accommodating me, and on behalf of the Youth Services Unit and the Cayman Islands Youth Assembly to promote this soon-to-be regular annual National Youth Forum.
Okay.
We took a break for a while because the young people were writing position papers that were presented to the Minister with responsibility for youth.
Okay.
But since a lot of those papers are considered, the CIYA is now taking a very public approach to the information that they research and the issues that they research, and they're working on social media and how it's changed the way young people communicate and form relationships.
Okay.
And the dark side of social media is what will be examined on Friday night, the 30th of November at the Mayor Miller Hall. It starts at 7:30. It is scheduled for 1 hour, but if dialogue continues, we'll go over a bit, but we're trying to get everything done in that 1 hour because I know time is valuable to everyone. The forum is for young people age 15 and older. Some of the content might be very graphic, so we want to make sure that those that are younger or might not be exposed to the dark side don't get exposed too early. Mm-hmm. Some youth service providers saying, well, most teenagers, from the time they're 13, they have a cell phone in their hand, which makes them exposed to this stuff. If you feel that way, that you have 13-year-olds that is already exposed to this kind of stuff and that the content would be something that would benefit them, then please include them, but make sure that that is noted when you arrive at the Mary Miller Hall at 7:30 on the 30th of November.
So for the benefit of our older listeners and viewers, the dark side. Can you
there's inherent dangers in social media. The caller just alluded to the fact that there's a lot of contests going on in Jamaica in their Youth Month, and that the vast amount of information that young people can answer questions for, it is because of the internet, and they've been exposed to information. They've been bombarded with it, mm-hmm. That they have such a wide range in terms of general knowledge. That's why it was very impressive to that caller to see the vast scope of which young people can answer. Mm-hmm. Our young people can do the same. We have not had a youth month focus. The only month that we have focus on youth is January. That is done by a private enterprise. The Cayman Islands Youth Development Consortium has selected January as our youth month. Mm-hmm. So they'll be focusing on a few events, but not at a national level that Jamaica has done with November. But it's a great start, and the Ministry of Education, Youth, Sports, Agriculture and Lands is supportive of it. Mm-hmm. So it might just start to evolve into where we can have a lot of contests and all the stuff on television, and we showcase the skills and the creativity of young people. The caller also touched on young people engaged in the Heritage and Pirates Week. And I'm happy to report that on Monday, we brought back the Pirates Week Junior Snapper Cook-Off, showcasing the culinary prowess of young people aged 10 to 15.
And how did that go? That
was awesome. We had three teams competed, but it was 4 individuals, and they all did exceptionally well. They had a silver medal score and 2 gold medal scores. So they compete against a standard, and the standard was very, very high, and they competed very well. Their dishes, if you see it, you would think it was a plate from a 5-star restaurant, and I think that is where we want the culinary to reach our local cuisine to be presented in such a way. I want to thank the board of the National Youth Culinary Program for assisting with it, and for partnering with the Pirates Week office and the Department of Tourism in bringing that contest back. But it's just one way of engaging young people. The next way is through this forum. We want to encourage young people aged 15 and older to come to this forum. The impact of social media, especially on our young youth population, is great. They hardly even talk to each other than through social media. And so we'll have some experts on the panel for the night. So if they have any questions or concerns, there's someone that can answer questions for them. There'll be a presentation by the president of the Cayman Islands Youth Assembly, sharing what the whole process was for this year for the Youth Assembly and how it culminates with this forum. Information is being sent to youth service groups, so the groups can have their feedback as well at the forum, and that will be also offered within that 1 hour. And if it need for a few more minutes, then we'll take a few more minutes to.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break. When we return, the conversation with Mr. James Miles about the National Youth Forum and the Cayman Islands Youth Assembly. That conversation will continue immediately after this short break.
Since March 2004, West Bay Pharmacy has kept their doors open to the local communities, even before, during, and after Hurricane Ivan. At West Bay Pharmacy, our staff provides so much more than pharmaceutical excellence. From the moment you walk through our doors to completing your cash out, our staff will have put your healthcare concerns at ease. We would like to take this moment to thank our loyal friends and customers. To us at West Bay Pharmacy, our patients are our primary concern. We provide thorough background checks and precise calculations to ensure your medical safety. Thank you for being a part of our family and for choosing West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
A trip to New York City is the experience of a lifetime. Starting this December, Cayman Airways will be offering daily non-stop flights from Grand Cayman to New York City. That's right, Cayman Airways is going daily to New York City starting this December. Stroll through Central Park or take in the bright lights of Times Square, enjoy a Broadway show or visit museums, the Empire State Building, and so much more. Whether you're visiting for business or pleasure, you'll fall in love with New York City. And daily non-stop flights from Grand Cayman aboard Cayman Airways starting this December. For details and to book, call Cayman Airways reservations at 949-2311. Contact a travel agent or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Cruise tourism is a vital part of Cayman's economy. It is the government's responsibility to create an environment where our people can have an opportunity to grow and prosper today, tomorrow, and into the future. It is a myth that Cayman does not need cruise tourism. It is a fact that cruise passengers spend $200 million per year buying services from small businesses, tour operators, attractions, restaurants, and retail shops. Those funds stay right here, supporting our economy and communities. Support the pairs. Support our tourism.
Cayman Brac, yes, it is your turn. The Breeze Fusion 5K Walk Run will be stomping by Southside Public Beach Saturday, November 24th.
Runners, on your mark.
Help support the So-and-So Club and join Radio Cayman for the Brac Breeze Fusion 5K Walk Run. The first 100 participants will receive a shirt and a goodie bag. Register at District Administration or online at www.caymanactive.com.
Let's go. Make no excuses now. I'm talking here and now.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In studio with me, we have Mr. James Miles of the
Youth
Services Unit and the National Youth Forum that will be held. And in their flyer it says, social media is changing. It's changing the way we communicate and form relationships. Join the Cayman Islands Youth Assembly for a forum exploring the effects of social media on youth. Hear from teens, young adults, and experts sharing their experiences and analyzing the impact of social media. And you spoke earlier about the dark side, and for those older folks amongst us, including myself, the dark web is also defined as the World Wide Web, content that exists on darknets, overlay networks that use the internet but requires specific software configurations or authorization to access them.
Yes. And sometimes, unfortunately, our young people has this kind of equipment and gains this kind of access and have a way of sharing it with friends. They're getting to the level that they're starting to get mobile platforms, which will make it extremely dangerous if young people can get all of this access on in their palm of their hands that they touch and hold almost all day. But they need supercomputers, so parents can help out. Anytime your young person is asking for a supercomputer, make sure it's because it's some super grade work that he have to do at college level. Therefore, they should be a mature adult by then as well. If your 12, 13, 14-year-old is asking for a supercomputer, even if they're into gaming, then you make sure that you watch them play games. And you remove the computer when they're not playing games. Because those same supercomputers has the speed, bandwidth, all that's needed to surf the dark side. And surfing the dark side, you find patches that, and it is something that adults really shouldn't be exposed to much as young people. And hence the dark side. But that is where hackers dwell. That where people can steal your personal identity. And identity theft is probably the major crime in the developed world. And because that is the case, people have to guard themselves. And if young people are losing their identity from before they even establish them properly, you might have more people came on than you think.
Now,
by accident.
Where can those persons who are interested in this forum get the information? The flyers are located where?
Well, one of the good things that the Youth Services Unit does is spread the word quite quickly. We've emailed the forms to almost all youth service providers. For those who have not seen the form, it's at every gas station, every fast food joint, every post office, every school office. So if you see a flyer there, just take a picture of it and send it around to all your friends, because that's how young people communicate.
And you're expecting participation from all or almost all of the youth organizations?
Yes, especially those that gather on Friday nights. We're tapped into Friday night for that special purpose. A lot of the youth groups that meet on Friday night have transportation, and they can move large groups of teenagers at one time. It's at the Mary Miller Hall. The capacity of the hall is 800 sitting. So if 800 wants to come and take part, you're welcome to come. So, the admission is free, so it doesn't cost you anything. we ask you to bring a few dollars because the Girls Brigade will be fundraising by selling refreshments.
Okay. And you will also be showing those who you're trying to reach out to the positive ways of using social media as opposed to the negative or the dangers, inherent dangers that are in it.
Yes, we'll have a panel of experts as well who will warn them about the dark side, would ask them, would give direction on what to share and what not to share, what is the safe use of social media and the internet, and to make sure that young people are as safe as possible. The internet is where they reside most of the time. And because that is the case, we need to make sure that their communication levels person to person is also in check and promoted, because while people communicate one way on internet, they are a different person when you see them face to face. And we want to try to make sure that they try to stay true to themselves as well. Because that's very important when you're looking at future opportunities.
Okay. And the final comments that you want to make, Mr. Miles?
Well, I want to thank you for allowing us to get some time on the radio and to promote this forum. If you have any more questions or comments, call the Youth Services Unit at 943-1127. If you want us to email you the flyer and you can send it around to your contacts, we'll do so. Just leave a message if no one's there. We'll answer it back, or just email me at james.miles@gov.ky, and I can shoot you a copy quite quickly.
And again, for the benefit of those who may not get the opportunity to see the flyer, place, date, and time.
It is Friday night, the 30th of November, at the Mira Miller Hall. It starts at 7:30. We have it scheduled for 1 hour, but if the dialogue requires a few more minutes, we'll take it. Your input is important, and I think it's a learning forum for everyone. The Youth Assembly has worked diligently on trying to have something great to present to you, and the panel of experts will also have information to share to make sure that our young people are as safe as possible. So join us. I'll be there a lot with the members of the Youth Assembly and the Youth Services Unit, and as many young people aged 15 and older. You're welcome to come. Bring a few dollars so you can support Girls Brigade.
Great. All the best. Wish you all the best in the venture as well, and I'm sure that you're going to get a great turnout to it.
Bring your cell phones as well, because we'll have live polling. So young people always walk with their cell phones anyhow. Yes. This one time we'll use them positively.
Take care. One of our listeners has written in and said, in regards to the annual DEH Xmas bulk waste cleanup for the districts, in addition to the district signage proposed by an earlier caller, it is suggested that a simple poster type tag be created by DEH to place on the items so that they can identify those items that require disposal. Now, I'm in reading into this, I'm taking it that some people are putting items out that may not necessarily be for disposal but can be reused. Now, here in Cayman, we've become a throwaway society, emulating the U.S. in most instances. Mechanics no longer look to repair parts. They tell you need a new one, and they simply replace it. We throw the other one away. Not a whole lot of recycling done here in the Cayman Islands, and our geographic location to a certain extent doesn't help, with that in terms of our access to other markets as well for regeneration of things also. But I take it that some things are not for disposal. And maybe those items that are not for disposal shouldn't be put out there. There are still some charitable organizations like the Red Cross and maybe others as well who would simply accept those sort of things. I was reading an article This was in Finland, where many people now are going to these thrift shops and purchasing household items rather than going to the IKEAs and places of that sort to buy their stuff. And maybe we need to promote more of that here in the Cayman Islands. Unfortunately, the cost of doing business in the Cayman Islands is so high that many people are deterred from wanting to start a business, one that may not have a high profit margin, but at the same time will have a social impact on our communities. And people are reluctant to do that. But certainly a large thrift shop where people can go and purchase things. There are people who move into a new house and can't afford the furniture, but would want to purchase these things. And I'm told by Miss Susan that the Humane Society also has a nice thrift shop as well. So for those of you who are actually putting items out there that are not for disposal, even though what the writer has sent to us is a good idea in terms of tagging it, what's going to be that they can have, so they can tag what's going to be for disposal and what isn't. I would encourage you, contact those thrift shops, see if they have a pickup policy where they will pick up the items from you, or if you have the wherewithal to be able to deliver those items to them, to do so as well. I didn't get an opportunity, but I have no regrets in relation to not being able to discuss this article on slavery, but we had other important things to discuss as well. But for those of you, and hopefully I'll get an opportunity on another show to talk about slavery. We here in the Cayman Islands, we downplay it somewhat, but we did have slaves here in the Cayman Islands as well. We know that the British, the UK, has refused to publicly apologize for slavery. We know that many financial institutions and others benefited vastly from the proceeds of slavery, and some would venture to say that that is where the UK got its economic footing, as well. But those of you who want to read about how the slave masters in the UK were compensated the £20 million that they were given, and that bill that was paid, that amount that was paid to them, they only paid off that bill in 2015. It was the equivalent now of £17 billion was paid. That bill was only paid in 2015, which means that the descendants of slaves helped to pay the same bill, the £20 billion that was paid to end slavery. The victims of slavery ended up paying that compensation because it was only paid off in 2015. But it's a good article to read. It's in the Guardian, and it is entitled "The Treasury's Tweet Shows Slavery is Still Misunderstood," and it is an article written by David Olosga as well. So if you're interested, read that article. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension for the record, into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want, or even those who crave. I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station. Join Talk today at 12:50, and I believe Miss Catherine Tyson will be guest hosting again today. Certainly join her and contribute to the conversation there as well. Have a great day, and as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands. And also remember that the Legislative Assembly starts today as well, and you will be able then to get the rebroadcast on 105.3 in the evenings. I'm not sure whether or not it will be carried live by Radio Cayman, but if it is being carried live by Radio Cayman, then we will advise you of that as well. Folks, thank you again. God bless.
For the Record is brought to you by Fidelity Bank. For all your banking and pension needs, call or visit a Fidelity branch today. Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealerships serving the Cayman Islands. And Cayman Pharmacy Group, with locations in West Base and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. And Seaboard Marine. With over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling Seaboard Marine at 949-4977.
Shaken yet standing firm.
I was not built to break.
This is Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.